Well, I hope you liked that sweet montage of me building the battery enclosure. It turned out really well. And we're about to get started on the wiring, but I've already bench tested all the components for the electric vehicle, and I programmed the motor controller and went through the startup procedure. And I'm putting that in a separate video, a bonus episode. And no, I'm not putting that on Patreon or anything, so just subscribe here to this YouTube channel to get that video, and it's free, or don't subscribe, it doesn't matter to me. So stay tuned for that one, and let's go now to the wiring, starting with the contactor. Okay, this is the contactor here, and it's not very often mentioned as one of the main components of an electric vehicle, but it's pretty important when it comes to putting everything together because so many wires are hooking up to it. What it is when these two little smaller lugs are connected via a switch, then these bigger ones are connected. So it's like a solenoid for your car starter. And it's just like a giant switch, so that if you just had a regular switch, the lugs would be this big, and it would be really tricky, and also there'd be sparks and everything. This takes care of that. And as you can see, there's lots of wires coming from it because I'm also connecting the DC to DC converter to it. There's some wires here for it's going to go to this switch. There's a protection diode and a trickle resistor here that's required by the motor controller, and then the trickle resistor would slowly drain the battery, so I'm going to connect it to a switch here that can handle higher volts but lower current, and then there's also other switches here because these wires will go to the key switch, and that will start the vehicle. Okay, I have everything wired, and I have the battery plugged in. Now the battery isn't hoisted and bolted in. I'll do that tomorrow. But it's getting late. I just want to turn some things on and see what works and what doesn't. I'm skeptical that everything is going to work perfectly on the very first try. So my goal is for it just not to burn down. So I think maybe what I'll do is I'll flip on and on switch and then flip it off and see if I can smell burning wires or not. Then flip on the next one and see how far I get. So let's see what happens. Oops, something's beeping. Okay, well I flipped the first switch and there were some beeps coming from the motor controller. When I do the next switch, and that's the key switch here and the kill switch here, and I have the key. The key's been sitting on my keychain now for almost 2 years, I guess, and it's time to actually use it. Oh, I heard the contactor click. I hit the throttle, see what happens. Yeah, baby, yes! Yeah! Yes! Okay, so the tire might be a little bit out of balance, but I'll get to that later, because right now I'm just happy that it's working. Yes! I am so happy right now. Oh, it looks so good, and it is working perfectly, at least electronically it is, on the bench. So tomorrow I'll bolt in the battery, and I'm going to hoist the whole bike up off the table it's been on for the last 1.5 years. And then in 2 days from now, because today's Thursday, and on Saturday, I'm going to take it to a car show. The car show is like 1/4 mile up the road from me. I could have walked it up there if I wanted to. But it's going to be running in time for the show, and I'm so happy. Okay, I'm about to go take it for a test drive, and this will be my first time ever. Driving an electric vehicle, actually. Let's give it a test drive. Okay, I don't have front brakes, and I don't have foot pegs. There goes nothing though. everybody. I've been riding it around for a couple days now, and it's performing really good, exactly what I wanted it to be. Way better than the performance of the original motor. Of course, it's much more quiet. There's no exhaust, there's no gas fumes, there's no oil leaks, and there's no shifting of the manual transmission, and those are all the requirements of my wife, who I built this bike for, because she didn't want all those things, and she never learned how to use a manual transmission, and so every time I would try to get her to ride my bike, she would never be able to get out of first gear. She was always too afraid, and what you want the least ever on when you're riding a motorcycle is to be fearful of it. The bike's for her. She doesn't want to be on the YouTube channel though, but I don't blame her. And yeah, so I think it's a success, and I'm loving being out here on this bike. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe. There might be another episode after this for this bike, or there might be a new project. We'll just have to see. Alright, take care and peace out.